to believe in the moment. No matter how preposterous the movie is and whatever, you need to be there and feel that in the moment. And that's what Miguel gave, because everybody was terrified of him. You'd just be on set and you'd be like, what the fuck is this guy?
What you're about to check out is a behind-the-scenes look with Johannes Roberts, who is the director of Primate. This Q&A was immediately after its Canadian debut at the Toronto After Dark Film Festival, and this Q&A with the audience is hosted by Peter Kaplowski. Also, Primate is hitting theaters on January 9th. Hope you enjoy it as much as we did, and here's a little behind-the-scenes look.
The producer on this was Walter Amada, who had a track record with the Conjuring movies and stuff, and they kind of left us alone because they trusted Walter and
you had mentioned it started off on the page as more of a suspense.
It started. I wrote this 15 years ago with a dog in mind. I was sitting, my mum had a swimming pool, and I was sitting there and I was watching the dog go round and round the swimming pool, and I thought that would make a great idea for a movie. And so I wrote it, and then, to be honest, horror was kind of in a different place, and so I kind of forgot about it, went off, did the 47mm movies, Welcome to Raccoon City. And then this movie just got picked up by this producer in LA who sort of shopped it around, and eventually it went through different hands, and then it came to Walter, and Walter and I just sat down and we were just on the same page. It had changed to a chimpanzee a while previous.
What was the inspiration there?
Netflix had picked it up, and Netflix went, dogs don't work on our algorithm. So I just went, chimpanzee? And they went, yeah, great. Developed it for, 2 or 3 years, paid my rent very nicely. And then went, we're not making this kind of movie. And then subsequently,
changed its mind.
Yeah, and now they're doing Cujo. You can't write this shit, but then Walter picked it up. Well, do you know what? The weirdest thing is I sent it to Walter as a writing sample, just so we could have a meeting. In all honesty, the phone wasn't ringing off the hook at the time after Resident Evil, and I sat down with him to have a meeting. He said he read the script and he said, I love it, but I don't think I want to do this. It's my first movie out. This is his first movie with his company. And we sat down and he said, just out of interest, how would you do the Chimp? And I showed him this stuff from a friend of mine had done this really weird movie with a chimpanzee, and I showed him some behind the scenes R&D of the practical side of it. And he just went, yeah, fuck it, let's try this. And we did a test. We did a test with a little girl as the chimpanzee. And the studio went for it. And went,
Can you talk a little bit more about what went into creating Ben?
Ben is a 35-year-old Colombian guy, 5-foot Colombian guy, who went full Colonel Kurtz, if you know what I mean. He went chimp. He hasn't come back from being chimp. So he was method, but he was fucking good. And so we just did an open audition. We tried the Chimp guys. There are Chimp guys. The Chimp guys are Andy Serkis and Terry Notary. And Terry's too big and Andy's too big. They're too big frames. But, the one thing I couldn't have, whatever you think of the movie, I couldn't have people go, why the fuck have they got a gorilla in their house? So I needed, but equally I couldn't have the chimpanzee. Well, just fucking kick the chimpanzee, it'd be fine. So it needed to. It's a really weird balance to do. And so we used Terry Notary's daughter, for the test. But I felt we needed, like, I didn't want to work with a kid, but I felt we needed like someone that had the physicality to take these people down. So we did an open casting, and you can imagine what an open casting for chimps is like. Everybody has their own specific chimp noise. Just like coming in. And it's like,
Was it his vocal performance as well?
No. Well, he led the vocal performance, but he, we did, and then this guy comes in, never done anything before, and he was frightening as fuck. He just jumped, there was some bit of stuff in the room, and he just leaped up, and I was like, I don't think that's safe, but this is great. And so he became the basis of what Ben is, and then there's a lot of stuff went into it. Animatronics, I had puppeteers with me. It's a complex
It does
thing.
seem like a marriage of a lot of
a lot of different things. But it was funny. I was watching with the audience. It was a lovely, guys. It was lovely to watch with you guys and hear the squeals and stuff. But it's a really interesting thing. My favourite sequence of the movie is when the kid gets his jaw ripped off, and it's a fun sequence. And it could be a sequence that you guys would have gone, oh, that's disgusting. The jaw's ripped off, and that's disgusting. It was written, when I wrote it, I said, a piece of Lego. He puts it back in like a piece of Lego. He's like, what the fuck? And it could have been a kind of cool, fun thing. But what elevates it is those two believe it. But neither of those two, by the way, had ever done any acting before. And those two are in some kind of meld there, and it's wonderful. I loved working with those two. That scene just elevates so highly, because you kind of believe, sure, you talk to the chimp like it's a dog, and sure, and it just gets worse and worse each step, and you're like, oh, motherfucker, this is, and then it kind of gets a little, I don't know, weird, tonally, sexually. That was not my intention, but it just gets weird, and then it turns into full-on irreversible, with jaws coming off and stuff like that. But it's amazing that you need what Miguel bought, and also what Charlie Mann, the actor, bought. You need to believe in the moment. No matter how preposterous the movie is and whatever, you need to be there and feel that in the moment. And that's what Miguel gave, because everybody was terrified of him. You'd just be on set and you'd be like, what the fuck is this guy walking around? And he would be, I don't even know what he looks like now. In my mind, he just looks like a chimp.
So when you say method, he was not verbally speaking with the actors even, or?
But he was Colombian, so I'm not 100% sure. But, he pretty much stayed his own way, and he did his own thing, and he pretty much. And even when I would be, you would see him without the suit on or anything, but if I'd ever be rehearsing with the actors, he'd come in and he'd do the chimp stuff.
Level of
he was intense. He was intense. But again, when he's throwing people off the cliff and whatever, it's that he's a fucking little shit that makes the movie enjoyable there. When he's laughing, and it is, it's personality, I think, that really...
Right, I mean, that's, I think, what comes so through is the personality.
Yeah.
I'd like to talk about another one of the cast members, Troy Kotsur, and how he became involved in the film. It's interesting, since it originally was a dog and then moved to chimpanzee. What sort of inspired bringing in signing characters?
The signing, that was, we were sort of in prep, and someone at Paramount said no movie has ever worked in existence without an adult character. I don't know if it's true, but then I couldn't find an argument against it. So we ended up, we're like, do you know what, we need to see the dad more. And so we wrote out the dad, or I wrote out the dad role, and then Coda had come out kind of the year before, and I'd been a little obsessed with it, and he has something. Like, it's lovely to see with an audience again, there's that, you've come in here to see heads come off and whatever you've come in for. But that scene where dad first meets the boyfriend, the guy that she's obsessed, and it's just a silly little scene, but you kind of, it brings out humor, and it's because he can take more than what's on the page, and there's just something he does that really brought out, because you don't have a lot of runway in a movie like this to really expand too much. It can be really tricky. You're
also threading a needle, because the audience is here to see some of these characters die.
It's tough.
And you don't want to necessarily make them complete fodder.
Yes, and you don't want to. You don't want to do that. You need to believe in the world, and then it's a very tough balance. But yeah, he bought, and then we got him on board, and he was so much fun. And then he was happy to then lean into. I had to obviously rewrite for him to a certain degree, and then he was really happy to play the whole pizza thing at the end. Oh my God, he ate pizza like nobody was. It's stale pizza, and we were just having fun with it. It's like, yeah, go on, and it's it's funny.
I'm going to give the audience a chance to ask some questions now. Over there.
That's probably one of my favorite recent scores in memory. So can you tell me a little bit about what went into the music?
Yeah.
Just to repeat the question for people in the back, it was about the score and how awesome it was.
Yeah. Do you know what? I've seen the movie fucking a million times, as you can imagine. And I was like, do I want to sit and watch it again now tonight? And I love just sitting, listening to Adrian's score. It's beautiful. I'm a big music guy. And so I put a lot of time and effort. It sounds like I've now composed this secretly, which I haven't, but I put a lot of time and effort into the score. So, and we tempt it, basically what happens when you cut a movie together, you temp it with, just other music sources to then speak to the composer and go, and I tempt it almost, which is unusual. I'm a big Carpenter fan, but I don't tend to temp with his tracks. And I temped it with Christine, which is one of my favorite movies. And that was really the basis. I used a little bit of Cujo, but mainly Christine, and a bit of Halloween, maybe Halloween 3 actually, because I find Halloween it's too iconic, and you don't understand what you're watching when you're watching it back. You're just listening to. So I used those, and then Adrian I'd worked with on Strangers, and it's a funny thing. You can never tell how, with Strangers, which I love that movie a lot. He did the score there, and it's a very Carpenter score, and people are like, oh, it sounds like a very Carpenter score. It's like, yeah, it is, sure. But with this, people sort of love it. But yeah, so we got together, and he's a genius. So he really understood it. We really worked that. That was a labor of love for me, and it's wonderful to watch it there. It even has the 5/4, the 5/4 timing of like Halloween and Tubular Bells, and it's all off kilter, and it's great. The literally probably about a week before we locked, he put the piano in. We were suddenly like, it needs something else, and he just got this out of tune piano and did the almost Goblin-esque. Dun, 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 dun. I can't. You can tell I can't sing. But yeah. So yeah, I love it. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful score.
There's a question over there.
When it came to Ben, how many different versions of him did you have? Was it just one version, or was it several versions that became progressively more?
No. There were lots of versions of Ben. Probably in his mind now, he's completely fractured. There probably still are lots of versions. There were. So every day would be slightly. You would go in and you would look at the scene, or I would look at the scene, and there would be several different heads, that were used for several different things. You had to be it's quite tricky. It's all about how you photograph these things. And the head, like from the front, I was like, oh yeah, it's great. And then he would turn and be like a fucking spaceship of animatronics on the back. And you're like, okay, so we had a different head if he's moving his head a lot. And then the animatronics could only go to kind of grimace. And then if you wanted wider, we had a different head, but that couldn't go to normal. So that went from grimace to normal. And then we had puppet heads for like biting and hitting. We had and lots of different eyes. Miguel would have to wear different contacts for different things. Although watching it now, I'm like, yeah, fuck, you guys wouldn't have noticed. Yeah, there was a whole roster of stuff. And then we had a stunt chimp. Motherfucker, her name, it escapes me for a second. She was super cool. And she, if I needed to do too much with the chimp, she would step in. But to be honest, by and large, Miguel went so nobody dared to stop him. Like he would be like, yeah, I'll do it. And it's like, well, I'm not, are you going to tell him? No, I'm not going to tell him. So he kind of did everything. But we had a variety of things. It was a lot of different, it was fun. I like doing this. I'm good at this shit, I think, because I have a love for it.
Question at the very back, is there anyone there? It's hard to see. Yeah, right there.
Yeah, so there's certain parts that felt kind of reminiscent of like Jurassic Park or Congo. I'm curious if you had other like inspirations or moments you kind of wanted to hit.
Yeah. If you could have just left it with Jurassic Park, that would be fine. But okay, Congo, yes. Amy Love. Yes. I love Jurassic Park. So definitely, it definitely has that in it. It has a lot. I could go through. Yes, there's definitely. I mean, I heard someone sniggering behind me when Ben puts his head through the shutters, like, here's Johnny. I'm a nerd. I live these things, and I'm not doing it to get a reaction. I'm doing it because it's cool fun. I'm like, wait, why don't we get Ben to do like the closet, like the Jack Nicholson thing, and then the closet thing is obviously Halloween, and then Christine is always in my movies somehow, some way. I can't think exactly how it snuck in on this one, but I'm sure it did. Cujo, obviously, lots. Halloween, I loved. I haven't really played with that soft focus stuff as much ever in a movie before, and I really love that. I'm like, suddenly it occurred to me, like, what's interesting is how a movie evolves, and that really can help with the cast, like I say, with Miguel, this movie could have gone in all kinds of different directions. We didn't set out to make a gory, like, roller coaster like you see here. It was just like, a chimpanzee would be an amazing, terrifying movie to make it about. And then as you go along, there was just that moment, the moment he holds up the car keys, and we shot that in like the first week, or no, I think it was just the beginning of the first week, and I did the shot of him, and I'd been hiding him up until that point. We'd done the closet stuff at the beginning, and I really enjoyed shooting glimpses of Ben and making it like terrifying. And then I shot him, I'm out in the middle of, it was all shot in England, this. You write these things. If there's any filmmakers here, I wrote it to be, I've never been to Hawaii. Studio sent me to London. As you can tell, I'm English. I was like, great, thanks, guys.
Convincing Hawaii and
I'm out there freezing my ass off outside the M25, shooting this scene with the outside the car. And Ben's there, and I'm like, how do I fucking hide him? He's there. And I didn't. And then I was like, oh my God, he's Freddy Krueger. He's Freddy fucking Krueger. He's a shit. And then I just had, from there on in, I had so much fun with him. Then like, oh, let him throw that person off the cliff. Go on. And then he'll laugh. So we just like had fun, and that came from Miguel bringing a personality, and then I was like, do you know what? I'm good enough to make him. I hope make him look good. I've got good enough people. He's going to give the personality, and I'll protect him the way I shoot it. So hopefully it doesn't look like Congo. And then go for it there. But there's a lot of I tend to Pet Sematary. Nobody ever picks up that the Pet Sematary is probably my favourite movie of all time. The vet is called Mary, and the guy that gets his face ripped off is called Lambert, and Mary Lambert is the director of Pet Sematary, so I always put in stuff for her.
Yeah, her Freakin' as well.
Yeah. Freakin's in there. Yeah, I'm going through a Freakin stage at the moment, so you have to forgive me. I just, not that I've just come across him, but I'm just digging his stuff, so that went in. But yeah, Pet Sematary's in there somehow. I'm not sure, but it'll be in there. But yes. Anyhow, I'm sure there's a lot of influences, and the music, Goblins, Carpenter, all that kind of stuff, and pools. I love pools and water, so I'm ripping myself off.
Johannes, thank you so much. When can people see the film in theaters?
The film is out January 9th in theaters.
So I encourage you all to tell your friends about the film, write letterbox reviews, tweet about it, social media, and also vote for the film. You'll be receiving an email from Eventive, so you can vote for the film for its chance to win the Adam Audience Award.
I've never won anything. So please
give it up for Johannes and Nancy.
Once again, Primate is hitting theaters January 9th. Go check it out, and be sure to click one of the links on the screen for more exclusives and some of the most soulful interviews in the arts and entertainment industry.